I'm your ice cream man, baby. Stop me when I'm passing by. Well, here we are. We're coming to you from an undisclosed bit of paradise. Nobody needs to know where we're coming from. That's why it's undisclosed. So I'm Alex.
I just got very secretive. I'm a spy now.
You are super undisclosed.
I'm so undisclosed. I'm a spy.
Uber undisclosed. This morning I used the phrase Ubermensch, realizing that I combined German and Yiddish.
Did I use that?
No, I used it in a conversation with a friend, and I said, your dad is an Ubermensch, and I had to explain both words. Well, as you do, but I realized that maybe I'm working on German-Jewish friendship relations.
Okay.
Which is, this is never a bad time for
That's
that.
never a bad time for...
Never.
No.
And next, I'm going to go to the Middle East and try my hand.
Jump in there. Look, can we talk about Palestine?
I'm just going to parachute myself in.
Yeah.
So, hello.
Hi. Here we are.
So, Tina and I have a podcast in a very busy space. The podcast space is very busy called what is it called?
Harleys and Hairspray.
Jesus, it's been a while since we've done a formal episode.
Sometimes I'm both Harleys and Hairspray.
You're woman enough to take on that responsibility.
Yeah, I can own that.
And while we're putting together a wonderful season for you, we thought that maybe we should check in with you more frequently, maybe even daily. But the idea is that actually what inspired us, I think, is that we're both kind of in the same life chapter.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about share?
I am 52. Wow. I have 3 kiddos that are no longer kiddos. Mm-hmm. Turning 22, just turned 20, and 13. And someone said to me recently, and they're bang on, that when they were little kiddos, I put all my art, all of that art feelings, all of that, and it went over here. It all went over here. And not to say that I haven't lived my life as an artist. You know, you are who you are. You show up as you show up. But now they're all up and out mostly. And I have this emergent space back. And honestly, it's been a little bit discombobulating. It's like I can't keep up with my own impulses. Mm-hmm. I can't show up to my own impulses because it's kind of like a teenager that's been set loose at a party. That is what it feels like. And so it's like the form of my art has to catch up with the excitement of how it was to live in the world. So yeah, back to art.
We are in the same place because it seems like we've both... I'm enjoying some nuts. Maybe we can get a sponsorship from a nut company for our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Right, mm-hmm. We're all about early sponsorship. Get on the wagon early, all you sponsors. But we're in the same place. I have a few years on you. Mm-hmm. A few extra gray hairs, which I'm keeping concealed. And the same thing, we both find ourselves away from the rat race and the cubicles of regular 9-to-5ing because we're in an era where we can be selfish again and follow our dreams again and our pursuits. And as a songwriter, all I want to do is write songs every day and collaborate with people every day and hear my stuff on the radio or on a television or a film screen. So it's so beautiful to be selfish. It's so beautiful to be selfish in the best way, knowing that you're doing exactly what you were born to do, and maybe in some fashion moving culture forward. Like, how crazy is that your passion also somehow promotes and catalyzes growth, whether it's spiritual or emotional. And so this is what we want to do daily. We want to create art, we want to talk about art, and also we want to remind you, if you're watching, we know you're watching, we want to remind you that it's perfectly okay to break out of the template of expectation of society and just be you and follow your dreams and follow your passions, because you don't get this time back. And also, the more you create, I think, the more it flows.
Yeah, I want to pull on a few threads that you actually said that we talked about, I think it was last week, and it kind of knocked me over. and it's a simple concept, but to actually live it is a big deal. And it was the piece that, there are lots of us who self-identify as artists, and lots of people who think that's not who they are or not who they could be. And what you said was, oh no, we are all art.
Testify, girl. We are.
Right? And then it wasn't just that, that's liberating and awesome for people who you might be watching and thinking, well, I'm not an artist, I'm not them. I'm going to watch them do their art, and won't that be cool? But that's not necessarily what we're going to talk about. Yeah, we're going to tell you what we're up to, but what we're really jumping into is that you are art. And again, outside of, again, inspiring, awesome, liberating, great. But the key piece that you dropped was that when we live as the art that we are, that's like the ultimate fulfillment experience of our life. And we might create products, great, let's talk about that. But it really is, what I got anyway from you was, when we start living as that art, like, everything else gets easy. Maybe not easy, but everything else gets like more fun, more full color. That the anxiety that we see so prevalent everywhere, the depression that we're seeing, the collapse that we see, all of that actually can dissipate because we're living in our life force. But we're calling it art, and it nailed me.
I'm so glad that resonated. And the first question is, how do I tap into that? It's not about tapping in. You already have. How do you tap out of your normal rhythm today? You need to tap out, because you're already tapped in. If you're a 3-year-old drawing, or if you're a 4-year-old putting together a puppet show with your friends, or any of that, it's already within us. We are already creative forces, and we are built to play, and we are built, if you think about the word question, the root of that is quest. We're on a quest for discovery and new and exploration. That's why, when you go on a dating app, not that I'm on a dating app, but if you go on a dating app, prevalently you will see, I must travel. What do you want to do? I need to travel. I'm going to find my person and travel. Because we're all on a quest, and we want to experience, and we want the new, and we want to evolve, and we want to be a little scared by the new. But the only thing that's in our way is our daily sense of obligation to something else, to a particular task that makes you money, which of course you need to find a balance, or to planning your dinners. Oh my God, what are we going to have for dinner? A nightly struggle. But if you tap out of
the pain is real.
The pain is very real as a parent. But when you tap out of those normal obligations, things that you find compulsory, you will make time for that which you already are, what you were born with. And we're not here to survive and find our next meal. No, we are here to do something bigger. And so historically, the people that have left a mark are the ones that have dedicated their lives to doing something bigger. Any artist that you know, in any discipline, you know them because they've dedicated themselves to the pursuit of that which really speaks to them, not that which is mandated by society because it's somehow compulsory to being accepted, but they've gone out of the box entirely. So yeah, we are all art. We create daily. And you know what, and going back to the struggle is real with dinners, we do create. What do I have in the fridge? What do I have in the pantry? How could I put these things together and make something out of nothing? We make these decisions daily. We just don't consciously call it our calling, right? Or find our lane, but it's already within us. So here is, if you were to give someone homework, you saw a stranger on the street,
yeah,
and you came up to them and you said, I'm living as an artist and I've never been happier, and I unplugged from the treadmill. I want to share my rhythm with you. But to really have you feel my rhythm, you need to do a little bit of daily homework. Ergo, to tap into that.
Okay.
To make space for that.
Yep.
What would that homework look like?
Oh,
for the lay person that you'll just meet on the street, random person.
I had this almost exact conversation with a pal of mine last week. So this is great. And I want to pull back in something that you said, because this is where the homework connects. You said we would make space for that which we already are.
Yes.
That's what you said.
Yeah, 100%.
So to me, that's what the homework is for. It's to get there. So my pal, who is definitely ADHD, might even be neurodivergent. I'm not sure, and I don't know that she knows, but definitely on the ADHD spectrum for sure. And really has built a life where structures matter, which makes sense, right? Because if our brain likes to go all over here, this keeps us in our lane, right?
That's right. You can control it.
Right? Mm-hmm. And somebody else said to me, and I promise I'll weave all this together, and somebody else said to me, and I don't know if they're right or wrong, and it doesn't really matter. It also nailed me to the wall. And they looked at me straight in the eyes and they said, ADHD is a trauma response. And I was like, what? Again, is it, isn't it? Doesn't matter. Science, I'm not saying like we need to go and prove it. It was more like just hold that concept for a second. Whether it's ADHD or whether it's just fractured thinking, ways that we, go like this. As a trauma response, like when shock happens, the brain kind of does this, right? So just hang in with me here for a sec. So this person, this friend of my life, definitely has ADHD. And I said to her, oh my gosh, guess what? Just hold this thought for a second. ADHD is a trauma response. And ever since I've known you, you have said, I need the structure, I need the structure, I need the structure, I need the structure. And yet who I know you to be, I said, you are a journalist. You chase stories. You are happy pulling in 8 different perspectives. Your job as a journalist is to never pick a lane. Your job as a journalist is to chase a one lane story, but look at it through 8 to 12 different perspectives. You cannot do that in a box. You have to, and then I said, and she was wanting more structure in her life and all this stuff. And I said, so listen, I know it's hard. I totally get it. And she's in her 40s. There's something about her 40s that kind of wakes this shit up. Like my assignment to anyone, to everyone, is see if you can actually let yourself to practice falling into that chaos in your head that thinks I need to do this on that time, I need to do that on time, blah, 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 and see if you can sink further and further and further and further underneath it. I'm not talking about meditation. I'm talking about letting yourself get really fucking uncomfortable and keep going there until you actually come through the other side and you can hear your own thoughts, not the structures.
Why do we cling to resolution so much?
Right?
I think the best part of the resolution is the tension that comes before it. Otherwise, resolution is meaningless. So, in my life, I want us to argue and fight and then have amazing makeup sex. Not necessarily between you and I, but the makeup...
What, am I not on the list?
No, well, we'll put you in the rotation for sure, but no, my perspective is life is about the push and pull. The tide comes in, because it also comes out, and I don't want to get all yin and yangy about it, but the fact that we need to control our stability and our resolution so much speaks to the fact that we're either scared of or not reconciling the comfort of or the beauty of tension. Tension is critical in pushing your boundaries and making you prickly and seeing how much capacity you have and how much latitude you have. And in fact, where your biggest flex is. Your biggest flex is not in the resolution, it's in the tension and how you weather those storms. So I would say the homework absolutely lies in that. What are you going to do to be other? Not the stable, predictable. What are you going to do to be other? What makes you uncomfortable, and how can you go there specifically?
So say more about discomfort, because we often think of discomfort if you're not an artist, and again, we all know everybody is, but if you don't self-identify that way, you might go, well, discomfort is uncomfortable, it's bad. And what you're saying is discomfort's tension. So can you just say a bit more about that discomfort piece that you're assigning people to get to?
Yeah, I think it's the same idea as the word disease, which is dis-ease, a lack of ease. and your system is maybe not in your preferred
I'm just going to help
equilibrium.
Maximus. Hold on. He's
Yeah,
trying to
of
get past.
So we have
Come on,
a
Sunshine.
beautiful
There you
a
go.
beautiful boxer dog, and he has a little bit of trouble maneuvering
There
his
you
way
go.
around the lighting rig.
Well, dogs know how to be total divas.
Such divas and great communicators.
That's right.
I'll give you a specific example.
Okay.
When I'm in a writing session, I love being the weakest person in the room. I specifically seek out situations and environments where I am the slowest, the weakest, and maybe the least talented person in the room. Because that's a very uncomfortable place to walk into. Or at least I make the assumption that everybody's better than me and has better things to offer. And that's not insecurity. That doesn't come from a neurotic place. That comes from a place of, oh no, I need to push myself harder, better, more than everybody else in this room just to be able to compete. So putting yourself specifically in those milieus, in those environments, really helps me. Because I want to see myself as a lazy, chubby guy. So that I can work out harder and get fitter.
Right.
There's something about being the underdog and being uncomfortable that makes you hustle harder with more humility. Unlike my diva dog, he doesn't hustle. He's happy in his fur. Whereas if I feel like I'm an underdog, whether it's intellectually, physically, I want to work harder just to get back to zero. And that's wonderful to me. The joy to me is in the struggle. Mm-hmm. And I think most of us, so to answer your question, I think most of us long for ease and comfort and resolution. But actually, most of us should long to savor the joy of the struggle.
Okay.
So what does that look like for you every single day? What is that struggle? And how do you find joy in it? Do you just give yourself over? Do you just give in and say, almost like, an AA meeting? I'm helpless here. I give myself over to my helplessness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now let me see how I can live within that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's not just pertaining to the arts. That's pertaining to the human condition.
Mm-hmm.
We're also carefully hanging on to
Mm-hmm.
our control. And like, what happens? Why are these the stories we tell ourselves? Aren't we all just the stories we tell ourselves?
Well, that's a big question for me. No, I would say no, because from where I come from, meaning my thought processes, I believe where you say we are all art, I say we are all story.
Right.
So I think, yes, for sure. This is an operating system, and the things that we do are based on what we fed it. Like, there is that. The brain is lots of things, but it is also like a big operating system, and it only regurgitates what we put in. So in that respect, yes, we are all story. But then we are all just the stories that we tell ourselves. But on a bigger sense, from a soulful place, I invite each of us, which is part of getting underneath the turbulence, underneath that sort of tension level, to go, when I actually land, what do I hear? Because we hear way different things when we're actually connected to that deeper sense of self. So
hold on, can you concretize that for me?
So there is, at some point in your life, I don't know when it would be for you, for most women I've talked to, it's usually around when they menstruate, when that happens. Somewhere in that zone, it's like the first time you're like, oh God, that's what I sound like. You hear this voice inside of you that was there, I believe, like the part of you that was here before you got here, and the part of you that will be here when you're gone. Soul, voice, spirit, your Akashic record, if you want to go there, which is like the story or story of the stars of your being. If you're going to quantify it, you could go that direction. But I try to keep it easy because it doesn't fall into a camp of religion or science. It's just really that voice that you first met at some age, that if you're quiet enough as you get older, you can remind yourself it's there. You can hear it. but we get so clogged up with all of the things that you're talking about that voice goes away. Doesn't it go away? It just, we can't get to it. It's like we got a big pillow on our face, right? We can't hear it. And then I think a lot of artists, that is their access point to their art. It's that story inside of them that keeps talking to them. It might show up in visual art. It might show up in music. But we know when we make art, when we're aligned with that inner voice. I do anyway. I'm like, I don't like to write from anywhere but there. Mm-hmm. If I can't feel that core, and so my work in the world is story from the core, if I can't feel that core, I think I'm making somebody else's art.
So is that akin to me sitting at the piano and coming out with idiomatically the same flavors? I mean, a lot of it has to do with my sense of sentimentality. A lot of it has to do with my with the instrument I play. When you're at the piano, you just, like, the first instinct is to play some lush chordal ballad and Elton John, Billy Joel your way into a niche. Is that my voice, or is that's just organically what comes out of me? Or are you referring to something else?
That's a great question.
Like without even considering it, what instinctively flows out of me when I sit at the piano is this one thing.
Okay.
It's a snow leopard. It's not a bear.
Right.
It's always a snow leopard.
Yeah.
And to get to a bear, I have to shake up the snow globe. There's so many mixed metaphors there. But I really have to shake it up or get a different collaborator in. But
Okay.
If I do it by myself, for myself,
Yes.
and what writers call a 100% right, it's always an Adele song. That's just always naturally what flows out. And if I want a Casey and the Sunshine Band, it has to be a whole... I can do it, but it has to be with other people in a different paradigm.
Right.
And I have to be wearing bell-bottoms and platforms.
So can Adele sing a Casey and the Sunshine Band song?
Yeah, can I change... Does my voice evolve, or does it change? You know how you have a different mask as a parent, a different mask as a professional, a different mask as a lover? Can your individual mask, Tina on Tina, Alex on Alex, can that individual mask change without the influence of anybody else, without you being in any other room? Does it change chronologically as you get older? Does it change when you're going through your cycle?
Yeah.
Or is it just that? Is your voice that voice, and it's always an Adele song?
I love this.
Whatever your version of that is.
So So where I go with this, and I don't need to be right about it. It's just what brings me peace. And
there's no right at all here.
Okay.
No.
Okay, my hair. I just got more '80s hair. I just had to look at that.
Awesome.
Okay, hold on. All right. Okay.
It's kind of sophisticated and naughty all at once.
I think that's a good description of me.
No, it's kind
She's
of perfect.
Sophisticated, naughty.
Put that on a business card.
Oh yeah, let me just fix that. So a little more sophisticated. Okay. So this whole mask thing, when I work with clients, whether they're authors I'm working with or speakers or what have you, it's all about not putting on any masks, which is different than putting on jackets. We might put on a cool costume, but this never changes. Like who I show up as never fucking changes.
But hold on, but they're sitting and they're listening to your instruction. They're wearing the mask of a student. You're the alpha.
Well then, what the hell does that even mean? Mask of a student? No, how about no mask? There's a person sitting here. And I'm not wearing a mask of a teacher. I'm a person up here. I just happen to be teaching. I might have to do it in the construct of a classroom on this time frame. I might have to put it in this structure of learning so that they can get it. But this person at the front of the room doesn't change. I might swear in some rooms. I might not swear in the other. But that's just a choice of words. That's not a choice of how I show up.
Yeah, I think I show up the same way to every writing session, whether it's by myself or I say filterlessly, honestly, candidly, brutally with my entire skill set. That doesn't change.
Yeah, I think you do. I've been in different rooms with you. Sometimes you're a little more amplified. Other times you're a little quieter. But Alex is Alex is Alex is Alex. Have you ever seen me not be me?
No, you've been a constant.
But that also is a bit of age. And I don't mean age as in years. I mean, you just get tired of not being you. You're like, oh, for heaven's sake.
You just get comfortable in your skin.
Right.
Like, this is it.
This is it. And you like me, you don't like
That's
me.
right.
Like, get over it. Get on with it.
But then we have a shared reality and everything's on the table. This is what you're going to get from me.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
How are we going to roll forward with this?
Okay, so now let's take that into art.
Yes. Okay, so hold on, dear viewer. This is for all of us. We're talking here for a reason. So, what do the YouTubers say? Like and subscribe and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Share the information. Just share.
If you've liked what we've said so far, click the subscribe button. Join our subscribers.
You could tell that's a new phrase for us because we don't know how to spit it out. No, that's all good. That's all. But no, I think the point is we need more of these conversations. We need a conversation as a collective to shake up the tree a little bit. Constant daily reminders that any choice you make to be your true creative self is the right choice. Mm-hmm. Just making that choice is the right thing to do always, because that you're not ignoring that part of you. Don't let it be dormant ever. That's so. At our undisclosed location, somebody is building a deck or something just over. That's right. Don't super undisclosed.
That's right.
They don't even know we're up here. That's how undisclosed we are. But you will hear them. You were saying.
I was saying. So, okay, great. We've just talked about this core of our being, if you will, and showing up as we show up. But then, what does that mean to art, to you? Like, do we get boring when we decide that we're just going to be ourselves? Is really what I'm asking you.
No. To me, it's about fully exploring and servicing the rainbow. You know what makes me really happy? Is writing the perfect sad song to match my perfectly sad mood. It makes it sad plus. It just heightens it. So I love... And also what makes me happy is when I have no inspiration at all, which happens a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no inspiration at all, and I force myself to go into the daily gym of writing. Mm-hmm. And I'll just go to the piano. I have nothing, just nothing. I'll go to the piano and I'll put on something. I'll put on Michael McDonald, Steely Dan, Bruno Mars, whatever I'm in the mood for that day. And I'll start with, this is just me doing sets, just bicep sets in the musical gym. And I'll say, I have nothing, I'm not inclined to do anything. Let me see if I can lift this Silk Sonic progression. Or let me see if I could figure out, I love Steely Dan because they're like musicians making music for musicians. There's some advanced stuff. So I'll sit and I'll start lifting, or Sting, for example, when he'll do something in 5/4 or 7/4 time, a really irregular pop meter. And I'll try and lift that because what I love is that something so complicated can be so palatable for a music listener. They take such a complex construct and make it into pop for the populace. And so then my battle becomes not, a Louie Louie 3-chord song, which I could do in my sleep. My battle to myself becomes, how do I do a song in 5/4? Or how do I do a song with these ridiculous progressions? Or what are the Commodores here doing in Earth, Wind, and Fire? Earth, Wind, and Fire, this is something I was doing yesterday, After the Love Is Gone. You listen to that song, and the first thing I did was I put on my headphones, and I tried to just duplicate the progression, play along with the song, with no sheet music, but just have my ear tune in theoretically to what was going on. And I realized how difficult that progression was, and I thought, okay, I have this progression down. What can I do now to write my own song over the same chord progression?
Okay.
Now that's a day when I have no inspiration and I have nothing to say. But that doesn't stop me from going into the musical gym and challenging myself from doing musical sets. So we could talk theoretically a lot, but in practice, that's what my uninspired day looks like. I still go in there and lift. What's the progression? What makes it interesting? Why is it difficult? And how can I do my version of this? Because they did it so well, and I need to try doing this.
See, I don't see that as the gym. To me, the gym is, whatever, scales and whatever. I don't know. What I feel like you just went into is workshop.
Oh.
It may not be full on play, but it's workshop. Like you're exploring. And I think that's really key for our listeners because you just gave a way in.
Yes.
Explore something. You might take something that already exists, but then you question. You're like, why, or how could I do that, or what would it look like if I did this? You know, that's not, to me, that's not reps. That's like, you're in the workshop. You're in a small quest.
So, how can we combine scales with workshopping? Like how can we find an easy? I'm talking about a complicated way in. I'm coming in maybe at not at the ground floor, but at the 10th floor.
Yeah.
Not at the penthouse, but at the 10th floor. How can we, for somebody who's maybe a little more new to this, find a way to use some initial rudimentary skills and find a way in right at the ground floor level with that? Like for me, would that be? I'll give you an example what that would look like for me at the piano. I would play one note in my right hand. I'd just play a C, for example. And I would try to find as many different chords as possible that would harmonize with the note C. So obviously a C chord, whether it's C major, C minor. An A chord has a C as the middle note. An F chord has a C as the top note. A D chord, a D minor chord, or a D dominant, etc. I don't want to all nerd out and get all theoretical. But that C is the top note of a 4-note chord, etc. And so, can I start workshopping my way through an idea simply by... I've only played one note so far in my right hand, literally with one finger, just a C, but I found so many different ways to accompany that C that changes the flavor of that one note, because that note plays different roles in different chords. Sometimes it's the bottom, sometimes it's the middle, sometimes it's the top, and now you have this whole harmonic structure that is giving that C a whole new definition. And that to me would be a rudimentary way of... Why are you...
Because you're totally nerding out.
I'm so...
You're so nerding out on music. What started with a rudimentary thing we can give everybody access to do. But do you see what happened? You went into workshop. It was so exciting.
Right away.
You did. You're like, Andy's off. And I watched you go.
Well, no, because that one note, I see the possibility. It becomes one thing that opens the door to possibilities.
Yeah.
So I think that's the workshopping, is take that one concrete example, see all of the portals that open up to you.
Or look for them, because they may not see them because they might be new at this. So here's where I would go.
Yeah.
First thing you got to do is show up.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Like, so for me, that's showing up at I'm a writer, and I sing, and I workshop and do all kinds of stuff. But if I don't show up in the room, nothing happens. So there's, number one, put your, stick something on your calendar, whether it's like 20 minutes a day, you're going to give yourself some time to explore. So whatever that is for you. For me, it's like laptops open, blank page, right? The second thing for me is, if I got nothing, I'm going to use a writing prompt. So I'm going to find a prompt that and it might be something like an easy writing prompt for me is that if I got nothing, is going to be, Dear Tina, what would you have me know? And then I just answer the question and just follow whatever comes to mind. So
let's review. I have one note that's just a C.
Yep.
She has Dear Tina. First we show up. I'm at the piano. She's in front of the computer. Each one of us is showing up, and we start with a prompt during a moment of no inspiration, no ideas. We start generating. This is how you become your own engine.
Yeah. That's great.
Dear Tina.
And then I follow. And so my practice, and whether you're writing or speaking, it's all the same thing for me. Everything starts with what I call the collecting stage, or maybe the quest. You're on the quest, so you don't even know where you're going, but it's like going for a walk. It's the same kind of thing. You know how when you start a walk, you might know where you're going, but you haven't got into that meditative state yet, because you just started walking. But then all of a sudden you might notice a thing, and so that's collecting. You're now collecting. You're collecting data. You're noticing things, and as you notice things, then it starts to take you somewhere. So when I'm writing, show up, writing prompt, write the writing prompt. And because I've done this a lot, I have a practice now that knows when the writing's over. I can actually feel in my body when the writing is over. I'm like, oh, that impulse is done. But if you don't know how to do that, set a timer. Just set a timer. Give yourself a 3-minute or an 8-minute or whatever timer, so it ends. So whatever that thing is, the writing, the playing, the walking, whatever. And then after the timer goes off or it ends, I actually read it back to myself like it was a letter to myself. I don't read it like I wrote it. I don't look at like this thing I just did. I read it like somebody sent it to me in the mail. And I read it and I watch for the words that what I call shimmer, or that pop up. And they're not phrases. There might be 2 words, but usually it's a word, and I will circle those words, and then those words become my next writing prompt.
Ooh.
That's my process when I'm writing, and I have nowhere to go.
Give me an example of a shimmer, like what stops you and gets your attention.
Yeah, it's sometimes I don't know. It's like it's a word that just I can't not. It's like I taste it. So I'll see this word and I'm like, oh, what is that? And I might be in my body. It might be a taste. It might be just a speed bump. Or even when I'm editing, I'm reading somebody else's work, another author's that I'm coaching them, and I read their manuscript. As soon as I trip on a word, I'm like, what's that about? Why did I just trip? And it's either a clue or it's an obstacle.
I have that. So musically, let's go back to my example of here's my C and here's chord 1 that works with the C. It's good. Chord 2 works with the C. Kind of predictable. Chord 3, which is a whole different flavor. Chord 3 might make me create the face of funk. Like I'm like, what? Wait. Yeah. It's the weight.
It's the weight.
Right? There's something either different in terms of color or unpredictability or just the way it all works in tandem with the other chords that were fine, but this one just and it's the weight. That's the shimmer for me, because that's what. But that only happens during the exploration. Without us showing up, without the prompt, without the C exercise, without the Dear Tina, you'd never journey on that road, and you'd never hit the shimmer or the wait. So you must do that even when you're uninspired. That's why, to me, I call it hitting the gym, because just showing up into you can't waste the journey to the gym and put on your gym outfit and your gym deodorant and then have it go to waste. You're already there.
Yeah.
You got to do it, but you got to get there.
Yeah.
Which means you got to make time
Yeah.
to get there.
Yeah.
You have to make it a priority
Yeah.
to create the time to get there. And so are we doing that daily? Are we doing that daily? I guess that's really the question.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll leave that until our next little chat. What do you guys think? Hey, good to meet you.
Thanks for being here. First one.
Spread the word. The first cut is the deepest.
Baby, stop me when I'm passing by. I'm your ice cream man, baby. Stop me when I'm passing by.